jeez if it is. And then thing number 2 and 3 kind of combined. I am gonna be doing a Q&A video. So I'm gonna be asking for questions now on this video, and then my next view. Then when I feel like I have enough questions from people, I'll do an answering of Q&A, and I'm doing that because, drum roll please, I got a promotion at work, which really honestly came out of the blue. I've only been working there for like 5-6 months now. And then out of the blue I got a promotion. I have a fortnightly meeting with this other department. I went in for that meeting. My boss out of the blue came into that meeting as well. I was like, this is kind of unexpected. And then they put the paperwork down in front of me, offering me a new role at the company. So, very excited about that. So to celebrate that, I'm doing this Q&A video probably next week or the week after. But anyways, guys, enough about me. Let's get into the games, and let's talk about, first I'll just talk about the games that I did watch this week. Starting with the Bengals versus the Ravens. Now, where's my paper? Okay, so I just cut out about 5 minutes of me searching, but here's the paper. I predicted the Ravens to win this one, and they did win it, but I really felt like the Bengals were the better team in this matchup, and if you're a Bengals fan, this has to be an extremely frustrating loss. Overall, now, I felt like both teams' defenses were very, very poor. And I feel like that was sort of the crux of the issue here. Now, of course, Baltimore scores 3 unanswered touchdowns, and then a 4th one after the Jamar Chase showboating touchdown, which of course backfires at the end, unfortunately for him. But I felt like both these teams were let down by their defenses. The Ravens in the first half especially, and the Bengals in the second half especially. But overall, this entire game, I expect that the Bengals will end up grabbing that last playoff spot. But it feels like these teams both have just super hot offenses. But it feels like their defensive issues can be exploited in the playoffs potentially. And this was just a weird game overall. I have never seen as many turnovers on downs as I have in this game. It felt like there were so many failed 4th down conversions. In reality, it was probably only 3 or 4, but it felt like more than that. It just felt like they kept turning the ball over on downs in this game, which I feel is overall kind of rare in an NFL game to happen more than once. It felt like the turning point in this game was that fumble in the 3rd quarter for the Bengals. I don't remember who it was, but there was one player who fumbled in the 3rd quarter, and after that, you have the Derrick Henry touchdown, then the other 2, like that was where the Ravens sort of got their wind. But overall, a weird game. Like I said, it felt like overall the Bengals played the better game, but like I said in my prediction, I predicted the Ravens to win because they're the more physical team. And in matchups like this, that can make the difference, and it did make the difference touchdowns here. 35-34 is your final score. Joe Burrow has 34 completions on 56 attempts, 428 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He had that one to the end zone, but that ended up being ruled an incomplete pass instead of an interception. But he almost had an interception there. Lamar Jackson, 25 completions on 33 attempts, 290 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Lamar had that huge run. He was like scrambling out of pressure, got to the 1-yard line. I thought he was gonna get a touchdown there, but he didn't. That's the one that eventually goes to Derrick Henry, but I have to point out Jamar Chase in this game. 11 receptions on 17 targets, 264 yards, averaged 24 yards per reception, and he had 3 touchdowns in this loss. Absolutely brutal loss for the Bengals. I feel for Joe Burrow watching Patrick Mahomes get a win with only 16 points scored, and he can't get a win with 34 here. Next, let's talk about the Patriots versus the Bears. That was the other game I watched. Okay, so I said coming into this Patriots versus Bears game that this is potentially the last win the Bears had on their schedule. So I picked the Bears. Well, I was dead wrong, and I'm gonna go in here because Matt Eberflus, however you say it, is a terrorist. This Bears team this week went 1 for 14 on 3rd down attempts. 1 for 14 on 3rd down attempts. The O-line continues to be terrible, and that is an understatement. How many sacks was it again that Caleb Williams took? He took 9 sacks this game. Caleb Williams did. 9 sacks. Just like, and I think last week he took 5 or 6. And now, according to Schefter, they're thinking of benching Caleb Williams for Tyson Bagent. I don't know how legitimate that is, and I'm of 2 minds about this. And this is really my issue. Before the bye week, Caleb Williams was improving. Week after week after week, he was looking better and better every game. And then the bye week happened. And ever since the bye week happened, the offense has been stagnant. And the defense, which was always the bright spot of this team, is now non-existent as well. So I don't know what Eberflus did in film session or whatever over the bye week, but it literally set this team back. Caleb Williams looks more timid behind the line, and of course he does, because he's getting sacked 9 times a game. But we know that bad offensive lines can hurt rookie quarterbacks. And I saw this comment, and I feel like this sums it up. Jaden Daniels is a lock for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Drake May just beat us at home with a worse roster, and Bo Nix battled it out with Patrick Mahomes and nearly won. Honestly makes me sick seeing how much progress all the other rookies have had, while we continue to ruin Caleb. That's a tweet from a Bears fan. 6 of the 11 offensive drives for the Bears ended up gaining fewer than 10 yards in this game. obviously coaching. Because Caleb Williams, you see the talent. And with Fields now, you're seeing the talent. I was wrong about Fields, I'll admit that. Here's a tweet. Biggest issue for Caleb Williams right now, playing tentative. He's not cutting it loose. He's trying too hard to avoid mistakes. Then he's guiding the ball. It's almost like not screwing up has been beat into him. And, yeah. It sucks. It sucks. Because I know that in my draft video, I said like I wasn't convinced by him. But then because he's the first overall pick, I've been trying to watch Bears games, and I was seeing it. Before the bye, I was seeing it. I was seeing the progress. And then after the bye, all of that progress is gone. And I'm left to think that he's going to end up like every other Bears quarterback, ruined by bad coaching. Not to mention there was a report today that the president, GM, whatever, Kevin Warren, says he does not want to have a good established coach that challenges his authority. So he wants to have a bad coach that he can tell what to do. Yeah, how's that for Dinker, your number one overall pick? I know I went in on the Bears last week as well. I'm not gonna do this same sort of ranting next week, but it really just made me angry this week. Patriots win this game 19-3. Drake May has 15 completions on 25 attempts, 184 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Caleb Williams, 16 completions on 30 attempts, 120 yards, 0 touchdowns. 0 interceptions. Alright, the other game that I watched this week was the Jets versus the Cardinals. This game was so bad. You have Sauce Gardner going and beefing on Twitter with Twitch streamers. The vibes around this Jets team are just really bad. Sauce Gardner going from where he was last season, looking so dominant, to now just basically constantly being cooked this season. Like, he missed an easy tackle this game, which went for like 20 yards, 22 yards, something like that. Big gain. He looks like a completely different player now. I saw people talking about trading Aaron Rodgers, and I agree that Rodgers has been bad. And I do think a lot of the issues this season do fall on his shoulders, because he basically had complete control to build his roster, and it fell short. But apparently Devontae Adams said that the only reason he went to the Jets is because he got confirmation that Aaron Rodgers will be back next year. So I think you at least get one more year of them, and maybe a full season something can happen, but I'm not holding my breath. However, on the other hand, Marvin Harrison now, I said in my draft coverage, I thought Marvin Harrison was the most talented player in this draft. And seeing him build this connection with Kyler Murray, I definitely feel like that's looking more and more true. There was one bad drop that he had last week. I can't remember exactly what it was, but this week he didn't have any drops. 5 for 5, 54 yards. It's basically every time he got the ball, it was at least a first down. And him and Kyler Murray are really building that chemistry, and they look really good. By the way, I did predict the Cardinals to win this one, and they did. So, as a fan of a team in the NFC West, I'm not happy about it. But for the Cardinals and Cardinals fans and Arizona sports fans in general, who they haven't had a great team to root for in a while, it is cool to see, especially after that failed big free agency spending spree from a couple seasons back. But 31-6 is your final score here in favor of the Cardinals. Aaron Rodgers has 22 completions on 35 attempts, 151 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 picks. Kyler Murray has 22 completions on 24 attempts, 266 yards, 1 passing touchdown, 2 rushing touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and Kyler Murray is looking better pretty much every week. I think I definitely fell prey to this a little bit. I think people kind of forgot about Kyler Murray a little bit. Kind of like he was coming into the league. I know he was pretty hyped up, and then he kind of fell a little bit short of expectations, and people kind of wrote him off too soon, it feels like. But he's been looking, since coming back from injury, he's been looking pretty solid. This Lions-Texans game, I turned this game off early. I was watching the first maybe quarter and a half of this game, and Jared Goff just wouldn't stop throwing interceptions. Like, he was addicted to it. He loves it. He loves throwing interceptions. So I actually did not see the final score of this game until right this moment, and I'm shocked to see that the Lions actually won this. Now, credit to the Texans defense. It felt like they knew where Jared Goff was going to throw before he knew. There's multiple times where they would jump into the passing lane and grab the ball. I think it happened on the first or second offensive drive of the game for the Lions. But it is actually so terrifying that the Lions can have a game where Jared Goff turns into Jared Goof, and he goofs up 5 interceptions. 5 interceptions. That is 5 extra offensive possessions for the other team, and the Lions still win. Now that is an indictment on the Texans. If you are gifted the ball that many times, you should win the game. You don't even have to score every time, especially when they were up going into the second half. Just kill the clock. Do the classic Tom Brady 3-yard pass, rush, 3-yard pass, and eat 5 to 8 minutes on a drive, even if you have to punt at the end. You should have won this game. And CJ Stroud, I haven't said it, but it feels like he has taken a step back from last year. Last year, CJ Stroud looked like he was going to be the next Patrick Mahomes or something. Maybe not to that level, but he was like, oh, this guy might end up skyrocketing into top 5 quarterback in the league. Really, really hyped up. And this season, he just hasn't been playing at that same level, it feels like, even with better offensive weapons on his roster. Obviously, they're first in their division, but I have concerns about this Texans team when they get to the playoffs. 26-23 for the Detroit Lions. They come back. They have 2 unanswered touchdowns and 2 field goals in the second half to win it by 3. Jared Goff, 15 completions on 30 attempts, 240 yards, 2 touchdowns, 5 picks. C.J. Stroud, 19 completions on 33 attempts, 232 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. And those 4 games constitute the games I actually sat down and watched. Bengals, Patriots, Jets. I watched those games in full. Like I said, I watched about a quarter of Lions Texans. Okay. Dolphins Rams. Wow, I actually did pick the Dolphins. I assumed I would have taken the Rams here. That's funny. Well, the Dolphins do win this 23-15. Tua Tagovailoa 20 completions on 28 attempts. He has 207 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Matthew Stafford 32 completions on 46 attempts, 293 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. Eagles, Cowboys, put the Cowboys out of their misery at this point. Micah Parsons is talking about, listen to his podcast, the coach can go somewhere else. Dak Prescott's injured, he's probably going to miss the rest of the season. Trey Lance comes in this game. I think Cooper Rush even got a little bit of play in this game. Yeah, this was a beatdown in Dallas. 34-6 in favor of the Eagles. Jalen Hurts 14 completions on 20 attempts, 202 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, as well as 2 rushing touchdowns, 1 interception. They have Trey Lance listed here at the QB spot, but I know Dak and Cooper Rush played as well. 4 completions on 6 attempts, 21 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. Titans, Chargers. I took the Los Angeles Chargers in this matchup, and they won by 10, 27-17. The Chargers are second in the AFC West, but it feels like they're flying under the radar, and maybe that's for the best. I feel like Justin Herbert, he was getting all that attention, especially year 2. Expectations felt higher than ever, and I'm a huge Justin Herbert fan, so I had high expectations, and they kind of fell short this season. It feels like expectations aren't as high, and they're performing better, so it'll be interesting to see when they get to the playoffs, if maybe the lights being brighter causes issues, I don't know, but Will Levis, 18 completions on 23 attempts, 175 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. Justin Herbert, 14 completions on 18 attempts, 164 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 picks. And shout out Quentin Johnston, having overall a pretty solid season. Okay, Panthers versus, who were they against? The Giants, yes. I picked the Panthers to win just because, like I said the last 2 weeks, it is the funniest possible outcome if Bryce Young just keeps winning games. And oh my god, Bryce Young just keeps winning football games. And this makes me so happy. I'm happy for Bryce. Because, like, dude, he was on the verge of tears in week 2. But team chaos, the funniest possible outcome here. I think it's very funny. This game goes to overtime, but the Panthers win it 20-17. This game was in Germany, where my favorite soccer team, Bayern Munich, is back where they belong, at the head of the table in the Bundesliga. RB Leipzig was kind of neck and neck with us there for the first few weeks, but now they're 5 points back. Bayer Leverkusen, who dethroned us, they're in 4th, and oh, how sweet it is, Borussia Dortmund is down in 5th. But anyways, Daniel Jones, 22 completions on 37 attempts, 190 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 picks. Bryce Young, 15 completions on 25 attempts, 126 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. Niners, Buccaneers. Now when I made this prediction, I didn't realize this was Christian McCaffrey coming back from injury, but it was. So this is Christian McCaffrey's first game of the season, and he made an impact. No touchdowns, but he did have 13 carries. He got 39 yards, so honestly kind of a high carry count, I thought, for his first game back. But the 49ers get the win, 23-20. Brock Purdy, 25 completions on 36 attempts, 353 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Baker Mayfield, 18 completions on 29 attempts, 116 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. Falcons Saints, I took the Falcons here, and they take the L, 17-20 in favor of the New Orleans Saints, who they haven't got a win in a little while, but Kirk Cousins, 23 for 38, 306 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 pick. Derek Carr, 16 for 25, 269 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Broncos, Chiefs. The Chiefs just keep winning. They just win games. Doesn't matter how bad they play, how good they play, how bad or how good the other team plays. The Chiefs are just winning games. The Chiefs are just winning games. That's all there is to it. 16-14 in their favor here, and the game ends on the most perfect blocked field goal maybe ever. Like the hand of God type moment. This team is just, I don't know how they do it. I'm sure it makes other AFC West fans very angry to see this. Patrick Mahomes has 1 touchdown, and they win the game. Bo Nix, 22 for 30, 215 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. Patrick Mahomes, 28 for 42, 266 yards, 1 touchdown. 0 interceptions. Bills, Colts. I picked the Bills here. They do win it. And apparently there was some, I didn't look into it too much, but one of the players or coaches was kind of calling out the lack of effort on the team. Now, I don't know if it would really make a difference in this instance because there was such a big gap in talent between these two teams, but Joe Flacco especially not looking great here. Starts the game off with a pick 6, has 3 interceptions overall. 272 yards, 26-35 for Flacco. Allen, 22 completions on 37 attempts for 80 yards. No touchdowns, 2 picks, but if I'm the Colts, I mean, I guess I understand from that point of view. You have a game against a quarterback who threw 2 picks, didn't throw an interception, and you still lose that game. And I imagine especially that's very frustrating for the coaching staff, because those are the ones you should win, kind of like I mentioned with the Texans earlier, but this is an even more extreme version of that. Steelers, Commanders, I picked the Steelers to win here. This was a super, super close game. They win it by a single point, 28-27. And it's in the dying moments of the game. This was almost a Commanders win. We had 2 minutes left on the clock. They get the W. Russell Wilson, 14 completions on 28 attempts, 195 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Russell Wilson is playing fantastic football at the moment. As a Seahawks fan, I had a little bit of schadenfreude watching him struggle in Denver just because the way him leaving the team went. But seeing him with the Steelers team has been nice, just to see. And the Steelers team is a wagon right now. They're 7-2. I feel like people aren't taking them seriously enough when it comes to playoff considerations. It doesn't really feel like there's a world beater in this league right now. Even the Chiefs, even though they're undefeated, they have glaring issues. I think the Ravens have a defense issue. I think all the playoff teams have really big pros and really big cons. And this Super Bowl feels very wide open. I feel like I'm not seeing enough people talk about the Steelers. Jaden Daniels, 17 for 34, 202 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 picks. Finally, Vikings, Jaguars. Vikings win this one, 12-7. And this has to be, oh my god, if you watch this game. Sam Darnold, 24 for 38, 241 yards, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Mac Jones playing for the Jaguars, 14 for 22, 111 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. No touchdowns thrown the whole game. Mac Jones gets 1 rushing touchdown. I didn't even realize Mac Jones was in Jacksonville. But anyways, a really good week. This is like 3 good weeks in a row now. So we got 12 for 14. And 12 for 14 puts us at 86% correct this week. Overall puts us at 97 for 140, 152. So if we do that, we're now up to 64%. We are climbing. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are climbing. Thank you guys so very much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed the video. I hope your team had a good week this week. If you liked it, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this almost every single day. And until next time, guys, bye-bye. Also, this week, maybe next week, maybe this weekend, I'm going to be putting out, going to my very first Australian baseball game, doing a vlog for that, so keep an eye out for that on the second channel. I'll have a link up for that.